So inside this rather attractive packaging is the Svord Peasant knife. There we go, look, for first class peasants only, are you good enough? Interesting point, having a professional qualification. However, yes, I think I am. And it is made in New Zealand. I never knew New Zealand had a knife industry. I suppose it's natural. I thought they just walked around playing rugby all the time. So, what do you get inside this? I like this box, it's good. Is the knife. And fairly comprehensive leaflet. Right way up is even better. Svord Peasant knife, made in New Zealand, as we've said. Available only to first-class peasants. Are you good enough? I do like that. There's warranty, which you've got to send off. What about the warranty? Quite a lot of detailed stuff about how to look after it, actually, which is quite a good idea. And this sort of bit of blurb here, peasant knife, blah, 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 based on something from 500 or 600 years ago in Germany, although folding knives have been around since at least Saxon period. One was dug up somewhere up north a few years ago. Very, very basic. So, nice box. So, the knife itself. God, it's bright, isn't it? One of the reasons I chose it. The second reason I chose it, yellow was about all they had left in stock, and for reasons I really fail to understand, the wooden handle version is twice the price of this really rather vivid thing. Now, I don't have much of a peasant class in New Zealand, hence it presumably being based on something in Germany. So, let's have a look. I've never been keen on this style of knife, to be honest. I've always found them a bit sort of clunky and unwieldy. However, having used this for quite some time, as my primary sort of go-to around the house, cutting limes and opening packages and playing drunk in front of the television, it's a real favourite now. This really is, I think, a really, really nice knife. The steel is 15N20, although it doesn't say it anywhere, unfortunately. And that is a nickel steel, which apparently is quite hard. And also, apparently, according to the blurb, wears to quite a nice patina. One thing you will notice with all these Swords is that this grinding, I don't know who does it, little New Zealand peasant, presumably. This grinding is different on nearly all of them. So you'll get something quite unique. You can't have quite unique, obviously, can you? Great degradations of uniqueness, you idiot. Now, that's the blade. The handle is plastic. Actually, it's polypropylene, which was plastic synthesised in the 1950s. I'm going to teach you more about polypropylene than you ever want to know, believe me. It's got a very high melting point, apparently. It's very easy to colour. As you may notice, these are available in multitude of colours, a prolific rainbow of niceness. It's easy to colour without degrading the strength of the plastic. It doesn't absorb water, which I didn't know, but apparently, according to polypropylene salespeople, ordinary plastic can do. It doesn't go mouldy, which is quite useful, and it has a slight elastic quality, which we'll come to in a moment. It is sturdy, light, and flexible. Now, knife folds that spur there. It's a decent chunky size, but unfortunately it's just that slightly too big, unfortunately, to be UK legal, because the police tend to measure blades the entire length of the blade, and that's a bit as opposed to the cutting edge, which you could just about get away with. Right, reason why the polypropylene flexibility is a good idea, because this handle bit here, which has this slightly raised area there, actually clips into the handle like that and holds it, well, reasonably rigidly. I mean, you wouldn't want to do too much with it, and it's quite important when you're using one of these knives like that, it will open. And if you're cutting something tough, that's really, really, really not good news, because this is flipping sharp and it will have your fingers off. Let's see some dimensions, shall we? Knife on the table. Overall length is what? Just over. Measure it properly would help even better. Nearly 21 centimetres. Or what have we got there? About 8 inches. It's quite a decent chunky handle as well. Fills your hand quite nicely. Fills my hand quite nicely, and I've got reasonably big hands, apparently. Not hugely well balanced. Let's try and get that. There we go. But it is a nice, flexible working tool. Now, let's do a test. Oh, yes. Because I haven't actually bothered to learn how to edit video, I can't really do much. So let's try that pencil sharpening test. Oh, hang on, let's do it properly. Perhaps I should have practiced this. Big chunk. And it's easier, of course, when you're not actually looking through a camera trying to do it. Oh, well, yes, all right, you can sharpen a pencil with it. There we go. Reasonably good test. Let's cut some paper. Why not? Because it's how we all measure how sharp knives are, isn't it, really? Let's have a look. Ooh, all right, perhaps not quite as sharp as I thought it would be. There is apparently some question about Svord's heat treatment. That's really not very good at all, is it? Dear me. All right, well, it was flipping sharp when I got it. There is some concern I have read expressed about Svord's heat treatment, in that apparently they leave the blades a little bit soft. How true that is, I don't really know. I've got no way of measuring hardness of metal. How the hell do you do that anyway? Well, there are various different measurements there are, but anyway, I can't do it. I'm really quite disappointed by that paper test, because it is quite sharp. No, it hasn't got anything. Is that dark? No, not really. Oh well, it was sharp when I got it. Perhaps I need to sort of sharpen it. Anyway, the Svord peasant knife. Really quite nice. Held together, as you can see, by proper fasteners, fixtures, as I was going to say. Proper fasteners, brass screws. Now, obviously, if you're going to use a screwdriver to tighten this up, and you can actually adjust this friction lock here. See what I said about it? Holds it reasonably well in place. You can adjust this, which I think is a really, really nice touch, and you can presumably undo this. But obviously, if you're going to do it, screwdriver that goes right the way across the slot, please. None of this tiny little thin screwdriver to want to undo it. This is brass, and you will damage it quite badly. What we really need to get is a proper screwdriver. Gunsmith turn screws are absolutely brilliant, and I bought a set at a car boot sale recently, last year, for not very much money. They're sort of old-fashioned ones, where the tip of the screwdriver comes in sort of like this, not one of those ugly, terrible things. But I suppose that's what a peasant would use, wouldn't it, really? A craftsman would use a proper, I can't remember what they're called, concave grind, which you're going to need to do if you're going to adjust this screw. It also means, to be honest, you could probably get one of these, find a couple of nice bits of wood, because these are just screwed together with some bolsters in the middle, as you can see there, and the blade there, and make quite a nice handle. There's an idea for a project. Anyway, the Svord peasant knife. Nice, big, hand-filling, light, difficult to lose in that colour. Really, really, really comfortable knife. Sharp enough, obviously you don't cut paper like that, but sharp enough for every other household task. Reasonable retention, like that. But I said every one of these is unique, and I genuinely like this knife. I wasn't a fan of this, as I think I've said. This sort of style, I've only had one, and it was a cheap one. The more expensive ones are much, much better. Svord peasant knife. Very nice.